Welcome back, everybody, to this is our part two ranking quarterbacks heading into the 2023 season 32 to 1. This is part two. If you haven't seen part one, it probably would make better sense to go watch part one first before you see part two. So, now we're starting back up. Number 16, we have Danielle Jones. Now, Danielle Jones showed promise. Finally, for the first time in his career, he showed to New York Giants fans that he's actually a good quarterback. He did a pretty good job of protecting the ball, and he always had the sheer athleticism to be able to run and use his legs, but last year he definitely used that on display really well. Him and Saquon Barkley were basically the Giants' running game, and they powered it all the way to the playoffs. And it felt like, this is a cliche, but it felt like the more that the season wore on, the better that Daniel Jones got. His best game might have been the game against Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings, where he got into a duel with Kirk Cousins. Now, they lost that game, but Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, definitely showed that, okay, he can help this team win. So, I feel like, the passing skills and running skills were always there. He just needed to improve on his decision making and not turn the ball over. And he definitely fixed that this past season. 2023, he's now playing where he's now on a contract extension, 4-year, $160 million contract. Let's see how much better he can get going into 2023. At number 15, I have Kirk Cousins. Now, Kirk Cousins, I always felt like he was always a middle of the pack QB. Unfortunately, his statistics just for some reason weren't really showing it. But this past year in 2022, he definitely finally showed how much of a mid quarterback he is. So, at the end of the day, the Vikings had a Cinderella season. They got so lucky on a lot of their wins. And for once, Kirk Cousins was not putting up those great numbers and touchdown to interception ratios that he normally would put up. 33 to 7 is normally what it is, like he did the year before. He actually had pedestrian numbers in 2022. However, ironically, the Vikings' record got better with his pedestrian play. They went 13-4, won their division, earned themselves a home playoff game where Kirk Cousins kind of went back to playing like Kirk Cousins, caring about his stats too much, throwing a little 3-yard speed out to your tight end when you need 8 yards on 4th and 8. Those kind of things. But nonetheless, Kirk Cousins, I can't put him below average. He's an average quarterback at best, though. At number 14, I have Tua Tagovailoa. I finally got it right this time. It is Tua Tagovailoa. I kind of went over this in my ranking teams heading into the 2023 season 32 to 1. And this all depends on how healthy Tua can be. I saw signs that Tua Tagovailoa can be a great quarterback. but he couldn't stay healthy because of all the concussions. And that comes down to the Miami Dolphins training staff, getting their stuff together. But I will say, I think he is just barely an above average quarterback who can be a great quarterback if he can stay healthy and stay at a consistent play. At number 13, I have Jared Goff. Now, if this was 2017 or 2018 Jared Goff, he would definitely be in my top 10, maybe top 5. But he's kind of become a little bit of a just pretty good quarterback, above average, who's got a really good team around him for the first time since his, that 2-year span when he was with the Rams. He's got a really good offensive line. He's got a really good ground attack. And I guess he's got good receivers. However, Jameson Williams, unfortunately, is going to be going through a, 4, 5, maybe 6 game suspension due to gambling. But nonetheless, I think Goff is still going to have plenty of weapons to spread the ball around, spread the wealth. But at the end of the day, I think I think he's a pretty good quarterback that's kind of trying to revitalize his career. And I think the Detroit Lions are going to be a good team, and I think he is going to have a good year. He's always had efficient seasons, especially the last 2 with the Detroit Lions. I just can't really put him any higher than number 13. At number 12, I have Geno Smith. Geno Smith is looking like he is definitely on, point to revitalizing his career. He looked like a bust when he was with the Jets, and he basically got tossed around like a prostitute the next few years. But then he came to Seattle, and he looked all right in the games that he played in the absence of Russell Wilson in 2021. And then after Russell Wilson got traded to the Denver Broncos, he finally got his shot in 2022. And he did pretty well. So he was the highest rated passer in the NFL, and he was comeback player of the year. Now, he's got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, an average offensive line at best, and a average defense at best. Now he's got an extra receiving weapon in Jackson Smith-Njigba, and a running game that has definitely shown at times that it can definitely power Seattle to the promised land. But then again, it's also showed signs that it can't. But I think Geno Smith is going to be even better in 2023 with better weapons, and I think just overall a better team. And I actually tried to contact the Seattle Seahawks about this, as far as me being able to talk about Geno Smith and be able to maybe have a conversation with them, and they wrote me off, but I didn't write back though. At number 11, I have Trevor Lawrence. Okay, so can we all just agree that all the rumors from back in 2021 that Trevor Lawrence might be a bust, can we just bypass that? Can we just forget that those conversations ever even happened, and let's just all admit that Urban Meyer was a terrible head coach, at least at the NFL level? You saw Trevor Lawrence and his potential finally be able to show this past year in 2022, especially in the second half of the season. Just like Daniel Jones, the more the season wore on, the better he got. I unfortunately Unfortunately, I got a front row seat to see Trevor Lawrence do what he did to my Dallas Cowboys when they came back from down 17 against us to win 40-34 in overtime. It was gut-wrenching. I know. But you saw what this kid can do, and he does have the clutch in the car a little bit. You saw him not only come back from that deficit, but then come back from down 27 after having the worst first half performance I ever saw. And I'm thinking to myself, oh no, Trevor. And then he comes back and redeems himself with the best second half I've ever seen. Coming back from down 27 and winning the game by a game-winning field goal, 31-30. Unfortunately, it ended the next week against, well, we'll get to him later. But yeah, you saw what Trevor Lawrence can be. And it's only 1 year, and he played marvelous. So, but I have to put him just outside of the top 10 just because it's only 1 year. But I think he can even rebound even further with an even better season, especially having Calvin Ridley this year. So, you're going to see. At number 10, now getting into the top 10, we have Derek Carr. Now, I know a lot of y'all are going to crucify me on this, but Derek Carr is a top 10 quarterback. He just played for a bad team. You saw him, despite all the issues that the Las Vegas Raiders had in 2021, whether it was the Henry Ruggs situation, whether it was the John Gruden situation. You saw Derek Carr, after a 6-7 record, carry the Raiders all the way to the playoffs. In 2016, had it not been for a broken fibula, he would have won league MVP, and the Raiders could have possibly at least made the AFC Championship game, if not made it to the Super Bowl. Like, Derek Carr is a top 10 QB that nobody even realizes. Now he's playing on a Saints team that has a pretty good amount of talent. One guy in particular that you obviously can see right there. If he can just stay healthy, then Derek Carr definitely has himself a weapon. I mean, people just don't even realize that Derek Carr is a top 10 quarterback. He just had a terrible team. So now I believe that he's playing on a team who is a good team that just needed a quarterback. So I have Derek Carr at number 10. At number 9, I have Justin Herbert. Oh boy, you talk about a guy that just has all the physical intangibles, has everything, even has the mind. He just plays for a team that just loses in the most bizarre ways possible. I mean, remember last year, if you could read the mouth of Justin Herbert on the sidelines during that regular season finale game against the Raiders, you can read his lips telling one of his teammates, bro, I've never wanted a tie so bad. Like, bro, he plays for a team that just knows how to lose in the most bizarre ways possible. From the Marlon McCree interception fumble to Brandon Staley and his defense giving up 31 points to choke a 27-0 lead. And don't think I didn't forget about that timeout that he called when you had an opportunity to just let the clock run out and it would have been a tie and you and the Raiders would have been going to the playoffs. I just don't understand his logic here. I just don't understand it. But Justin Herbert, nonetheless, this turned into a freaking Chargers rant. Anyway, Justin Herbert is a great quarterback who just needs some assistance as far as team success and coaching. Finally got Joe Lombardi out of there, but I've never seen a guy that has everything, even the talent on the team, just terrible coaching. They lose in the most weirdest, most bizarre ways possible. At number 8, I have Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson has been getting a lot of heat, of course, with the whole massage parlor stuff, but I think it's all BS. Um, I went over this again. I sound like a broken record, but he's got a whole off season and training camp to just focus his mind on football. All that other stuff and drama is behind him, and now he can just focus on, football, and that's it. And don't forget, people. It's like people forget that at one time he was a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, if not top 5 even. And they just completely forget about that and just like to call him trash just because of that whole incident and situation. Like, I mean, first of all, don't forget that Michael Vick. Don't forget what he did with that dog fighting, situation that got him in prison. And he came back and people hated him, but eventually, they rejoiced him again. Turned his life around. But nonetheless, Deshaun Watson will get back to becoming one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And I have him number 8 because he's going to have a really, really damn good season in 2023. At number 7, I have Dak Prescott. Now, I might get a little bit of hate, but Dak Prescott is definitely still a top 10 quarterback. He is definitely a top 10 quarterback. And when you give him the appropriate amount of weapons, like having a Brandon Cooks, having a healthier Michael Gallup, then you're going to get the best out of number 4. And you still saw him do really good things even last year when he didn't have, the weapons. Yeah, he had CeeDee Lamb, but that was it. So now you're going to get the best out of Dak Prescott again with a good receiving core, maybe even a great receiving core, and with a defense that will give him plenty of opportunities to do what he can do with the ball. Yeah, number 4 is going to be back to having one of the best seasons in the NFL. At number 6, I have Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is just outside of my top 5, but I do believe he will be a top quarterback in the league again. And with a new team, with a better team around him, I think that you're going to see Aaron Rodgers, get back to his craft, get back to playing the way he played before. And there's not really much I really need to say, like Aaron Rodgers, like the most accurate quarterback in the league. There's not really very much I need to really explain. At number 5, I have Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is a dog. Lamar Jackson is an animal. I mean, he's fast. He's got the legs. He's got the speed. He's got the arm to throw. I mean, he is... I'm not going to say he is the best dual threat quarterback in the league. We will get to that, right this second after we talk about Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson getting it into a new offense where they're going to throw the ball more. Now, he's still going to rely on his legs still, obviously, because that's just what he is. But we'll see what number 8 can do. We'll see what Lamar Jackson can do in a new system where he's airing the ball out more. At number 4, we got Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a great QB. I can't lie to you, man. Like he really got better from last year, and like there's not really much that really needs to be said. I know I made a debate saying why Dak Prescott is better than Jalen Hurts, but I really don't need to make that debate, man. Like, honestly, that debate was all just for fun. At the end of the day, I have to rank Jalen Hurts higher than Dak Prescott. Jalen Hurts had a very highly efficient season last year, led the Eagles all the way to the Super Bowl. And yeah, I will say he is the best dual threat quarterback in the league. I think Lamar Jackson obviously edges him out in as far as running ability, but I think Jalen Hurts is definitely a better thrower of the football than Lamar Jackson. So overall, I would say he's a better dual threat quarterback than Lamar Jackson. And I mean, there's really not much else to say, man. Like, he played well last year. He played really well. At number 3, we have Josh Allen. Josh Allen, is he a turnover machine sometimes? Yeah. But is he still really good at playing football? Yes. Is he one of the best running quarterbacks in the NFL? Yes. But does he still pride himself, obviously, still on being a guy who can throw dimes and shows off that incredible arm? Yes. Yes, yes, and yes. So, Josh Allen, there's not really much that needs to be said. Like, he's just really good, great quarterback, and, one of the best passing quarterbacks and one of the best running quarterbacks. It seems like every time I watch a Josh Allen game, he's always hurdling somebody. But yeah, pretty athletic for a white guy, but he obviously is an incredible thrower of the football, and I will just leave it at that. And I'll just leave it at that. At number 2, I got Joe Burrow. Joe Shiesty. Joe Burrow. There's not really much that really needs to be said about him either, but he's cool, he's calm, he just is a great leader that the rest of the team really feeds off of what he does. And understand, people want to say he's got a great team around him, which, yeah, he does. But don't act like that's the only reason why he's been playing as well as he's played. Remember, his rookie season, he would have won Offensive Rookie of the Year if it wasn't for, obviously, the injury that he took, tearing his ACL. And remember, at the time, I believe the Bengals were 3-4-1. They were 3-4-1 at the time. So the Bengals were actually somewhat in the running of being able to make the playoffs if he would have been able to still play. And that was a Bengals team that really wasn't that good at all. Now, they put some pieces around him, still have a trash O-line, but has put pieces around him. And, but understand this all started with Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty. He's so calm, so cool, so calm, and the rest of the team just feeds off of him and his swag. There's not very many times in my life, not to be racist, that there's not very many times in my life that I've, put, a white guy and swag in the same sentence. But Joe Burrow's got swag. And his whole team feeds off of it. So I have him at number 2. All right, number 1. Who could possibly be number 1? Oh, yeah, obviously Patrick Mahomes. I mean, let's be honest, we all knew who number 1 was. Like, it was going to be Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is by far the best quarterback in the NFL. You can't tell me differently. What he's done, he proved to everybody he can still play well and play at a high level without Tyreek Hill. He proved to people that even on a bum ankle, he can still play at a high level and win Super Bowl MVP. I'm telling you, you could honestly give him Super Bowl MVP and playoff MVP because he played that entire postseason, at least after like the first quarter against Jacksonville. He played the rest of that entire postseason on a high ankle sprain. Do you know how hard that is as a quarterback to play on a high ankle sprain? Especially when it's your right foot. He's right-handed, so obviously that right foot is the foot that he's going to throw off of when he throws the football. That's the foot, the ankle that he has to throw off of, and that can be really, really painful. And he fought through it and still played at a high level. Tell me why, even on a sprained ankle, this guy is still hard to sack. I mean, he's an alien. He's an alien, man. Like, there's not very much I really can tell you. Nonetheless, that is the conclusion of this NFL quarterbacks ranked from 32 to 1 for the 2023 season. And I really appreciate the ones, appreciate the audience that are watching this video. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments down below, as per usual, as far as how you feel about my rankings, and do you felt like I dropped the ball on some of them? I know there will be, but I'm just saying. Let me know in the comments down below. As always, like and subscribe. And that has been my time, and that is it. Peace.